Yo, what is going on, team? This is Art, and today I'm going to be doing my Sunday stock talk. This is for 3/14/2021. I'm going to be sending out my link to everybody for them to join and tune in. Let's get this thing on the road. So, that said, let me just quickly pull up everything, let everyone know that I am live. I apologize for my super loud keyboard. I try my hardest to keep that under control. However, I do like the clickiness, so it's a little unfortunate. But that said, I am going to be doing my stock talk. I'm going to be taking tickers and questions, everything that you would be interested in, I'm here to talk about. So let's get it going. Let me just send out my link to everyone, and let's get this thing on the road. So announcements, everyone. Stock Talk is now live. And I'll just send the link as well. Stock Talk is now live. Ask questions, tickers, etc. I hope my audio sounds all right, everyone. I'm still kind of toying around with that, making sure everything still works. But yeah, so let me just put up my toss screen and let's get this thing on the road. So I just got finished up recording a few more videos about just kind of general trading practices and things that you might want to do and use in your day-to-day trading. And so that was my most recent video. That was on the website bar chart along with Market Watch and how I use them in order to do the due diligence for the day going into, the next trading day. So let's get this thing on the road. So first I wanted to go over NQ and how I'm fairly bullish on NQ. This is because of how well the market has been kind of rebounding this 200-day moving average. This is on the hourly chart. So notice we posted a reversal on my custom indicator right here. We have it at 12,833.5. And since then, we're at 12,985.0. I need to see a break of this 13,000 mark for /NQ for me to be fully bullish on the market going into this week. So that said, we need a break above there. We did break above all the rest of this simple moving average lines. So that is why I am very bullish going into this week. However, we need a break above this 13,000 in order to break this double top. So that's currently my main thinking going into today. On top of that, we have this almost bull flag on the SPY ES 4-hour chart. But when you pull up an hourly chart, it does look like we have a double top that we need to break. So that's also something to keep in mind here. Notice we have a crossover right here on NQ, and we have a crossover here on ES. And those are just things to keep in mind that we are kind of on this bullish trend, but we do need to break this double top in order to continue higher. Otherwise, we could see this thing kind of head back downwards. And that said, we wouldn't want that if we're playing to the upside. So for me, at least personally, I'm holding a QQQ long along with Lemonade long. And so let's see how it goes. That said, I will be taking a few tickers in a little bit. I'm going to just go over the main things that I'm looking at for right now. And then let's take, member tickers and questions, just general questions, trading questions. I don't know, maybe ask me how my day is or something. We'll see. So that said, I'm going to put up QQQ, Apple, Tesla as some stocks that I'm going to be looking at because these are some common names that I take. So here we go. For QQQ, again, I'm long on QQQ. I took long at this reversal at 313.2. Notice we have that crossover event. And what I was mainly playing on was the retest and break above this 9-day moving average, along with the break of 50-day moving average in pre-market. So overall, I'm looking at this as a full upside play. I want to take profit around 320, and that's how I'll be playing that. Next, we have Apple. Apple, I think, is a pretty beat-up stock as of right now. I think that they could be worked on a little better. And so we do need to get this crossover to happen here on this daily chart for us to fully see a reversal. But notice that we have a pinged reversal at 119.5. That means that we're starting to change our trend on a daily chart basis. So that means for the next maybe couple of weeks, we could see Apple kind of start regaining these lost levels. but we have to start by regaining this 124 at the 20-day moving average. So notice we are in this very oversold slash bearish for our RSI. And with that in mind, that shows that we are still kind of recovering out of this oversold. Notice that's our bottom line. And overall, I think that if we can see this thing kind of round out the bottom, we can start to head up higher. That would be profit target number 125, profit target 130. And so overall, I think that we can start heading up as long as we see NQ continue to perform and move to the upside. Next, we have Tesla. Tesla has been doing pretty well recently. I think that Tesla is super beat up and came out of this nice oversold area. Oversold. And so notice that we're pretty neutral on RSI, and we've been hanging out above this 200-day moving average. So with that in mind, I am fairly bullish on Tesla as long as we have this crossover event right here. Notice how the two MACD lines are kind of touching. I would ideally want to do this as a long swing as long as we can stay above the 200-day moving average and the 50-day moving average. Otherwise, I would be a little more inclined to sit on my hands if it were to fall below this 50-day moving average. Is the reversal available to others, or is it a personal indicator? As of right now, it's a personal indicator. I'm going to be releasing it into the public maybe in the future, but it's currently in beta testing, and so I don't want to give something that can not work, and that would be kind of bad. So that said, that's kind of the current situation with that. It's currently in beta testing, and I think until we start seeing better accuracy with it, I don't feel very comfortable sharing that to everyone because, if it's not performing well, I wouldn't want people to take something that doesn't perform well. Next, I want to look at Microsoft, Space, and ExxonMobil. These are also some common stocks that I take. So notice right here we have our crossover on the hourly chart for Microsoft. I think that we can see this thing start kind of heading upwards, and also on one of our other custom indicators, we have a 0. When this line hits 0, we take it long. When it hits 3, we go short. So notice we have a 0, we have a crossover, and a very, very, very neutral RSI. Overall, it looks quite good to the upside, and I think that as long as we can maintain above these moving average lines, we can continue to head higher. Then we have Space. Space had a very nice daily bounce on the 200-day moving average. Notice we have a hard cross here on MACD starting to curl to the upside. We have a bearish but kind of almost neutral on RSI. I would want to take profits back at the 50 SMA, but note that we have our 20 SMA kind of starting to curl down and start to push lower. What's this last indicator? This is a custom indicator. I can actually link this for my next video. It's completely free, and I'll show you the instructions and how to set it up and everything. This one is pretty much ready to go. This is for swing trading. But that in mind, I'll get to that in a second. So basically when this thing hits 3, you go short. When this thing hits 0, you go long. But this is for swing trades and mainly for a hourly or 4-hourly basis. So notice that we have right here this kind of, we're firing a 0 on the line. This entire time you could have been buying calls and it would have worked pretty well. Notice it hits 3 and the thing starts dumping off. And then once it goes back to 0, it heads back up. This is something that we've been having being worked on for a little while. And yeah, David Park says it's a pretty cool indicator. I think it's pretty cool too. So yeah, he's actually the guy who coded it. But yeah, next I have ExxonMobil. ExxonMobil is currently at this double top, and I think that if we can break above this 62.1, 62.5 mark, we can continue to see ExxonMobil rip to the upside. I'm currently still holding ExxonMobil swing calls. These are June expiry that I bought when Exxon was at 49, and it's been absolutely rocket shipping since then. We have a crossover, and everything is very bullish for ExxonMobil. I'm a big fan of ExxonMobil, and the options pay very well. So overall, I would be very inclined to take a long position as a day trade for ExxonMobil. I have a few more names, and then I'll start taking some member or viewer names. So let's get that going. We have gold. Gold has been a weird play, to say the least. Overall, gold is kind of a play on. I don't even know how to explain it, really. It just has a really good setup, but it's been kind of weird how it's been acting recently. And overall, I think that if we can continue to maintain these crossovers to the upside, because I believe on 4 hour we have a pretty nice cross. So notice right here, we canceled this cross to the downside immediately with this with these like 3 candles. So I'm very bullish on gold. However, I keep seeing this top act as a resistance point. So see right here, resistance, resistance, resistance. I would wait for that break at maybe 162.5 and then take it up to 167. Otherwise, I'm not going to really touch it. I have a few more names, and then we can hop into some viewer tickers. So have your questions and tickers ready, and let's get this thing going. So I have a QuantumScape, and I also have Riot. So QuantumScape, I'm actually long in shares. I have 750 shares of QuantumScape, and I bought these things at 56.85. And I'm playing on the push towards 60. We have a crossover that's about to happen, along with a very bullish RSI. I'm personally a very big fan of the chart setup for QuantumScape. We've been on a pretty steady uptrend, and we're just following this trend line right here. Notice right there. We've just been following it pretty nicely. So I think as long as we can break above 60, it would be a pretty strong buy. Again, I'm not a financial advisor, by the way, everyone. I'm just some dude on the internet, but I do like trading stocks and I watch the market. So that said, we do also have Riot. This is a blockchain company, and I think that if we can break back above 64, this thing could be pretty bullish, especially with how Bitcoin has been acting recently, hitting this new all-time high. So notice right here we have a crossover that needs to happen. We have parallel MACD. So I would wait for the MACD to start crossing back to the upside before I were to take anything. But until then, I would be more inclined to just sit on my hands. One second, everyone. I apologize. All right, yeah, sorry guys. I'm helping out a few of my cousins who are visiting from Mexico. Kind of set up a. They're trying to buy something from Craigslist, so we'll see what happens with that. All right. Anyways, I apologize. That was kind of a weird little intermission. I apologize there. Next, we also have Starbucks. I've been trading Starbucks a little bit, and I found that their premiums are really nice. So overall, I'm very, very much liking Starbucks. I think that Starbucks has a nice premium and a very cheap contract that you can take. So notice we have a crossover and a pretty neutral RSI. I think that as long as we can break above this like 108 resistance, I think that we can see this thing break and pop back up to 110, maybe, during this week. Starbucks has earnings this week. Yeah, it should have that little earnings run. Next, I have IWM. This is just the Russell 2000. We have a crossover, and we are still kind of overbought in terms of MACD, but I'm very bullish on it overall. I think it looks pretty strong, and they also have really good premiums. Overall, I like IWM. And lastly, for the tickers that I'm going to be looking at, here's Costco. I played Costco. I made $5,700 on it, I think, on Wednesday. And overall, Costco is a pretty good stock to play, I think, just in terms of the setups that it makes. It moves not too much, but the premiums move up kind of nicely. So notice right here we have a crossover and a very bullish RSI. And we also broke on top of the 200-day moving average. Overall, I think that as long as we can keep this thing above 200-day moving average, we can run back up to 350 overall. As a swing trade, I would not mind taking this thing. We have a reversal to the upside at 311. And I think that as long as we can maintain above this 200-day moving average on the hourly, we can continue heading higher. Overall, it's a very nice play, and I like how the premiums act. So that said, I am going to be taking member tickers or viewer tickers, and feel free to take, your names out here. Keep in mind also the Federal Open Market Committee meets, and we also have quad witching, so that is something to keep in mind going into this week. Could be very volatile. Manage your position sizes accordingly. Overall, it should be a very fun week to play in the market, and I think that as long as we are smart with our money and we manage our risk correctly, we can definitely capitalize on the moves. So that said, I am opening up the live chat for you guys to give me any tickers or questions and I'll go through them. Alrighty, so let's see. What do we got? We've got a Twitter and Snap. We have JMIA. We have Solo. So let's see. Solo. We've got Snap. And also, let me edit something really quick, y'all. Just need to change something in my page here. Cool. Alrighty. So we've got Solo. Solo is currently pushing on the 200-day moving average. Notice we have a crossover kind of happening right here, and we have a neutral RSI. Overall, I think it's pretty strong if you can get it above this 200-day moving average. Notice we also have the coupled 250 moving averages. I would have to wait for that thing to break above. Otherwise, this will act as a resistance and push us back lower. Overall, though, I think that if you can get this thing back above, it would look pretty good. You also kind of have a bull pennant over here on the 4-hour chart, and you're kind of riding on top of the 20-day moving average. I think if you can get this thing above the 200-day moving average, it could be pretty strong overall. JMIA, and then Snap. So Snapchat had a very strong push above 200-day moving average from the 60 mark up to 64 almost. So overall, I think it's very strong. You have a crossover, but it is heavily overbought. I would kind of sit on my hands and wait for the RSI to maybe reset a little bit. That said, though, you did break above the 1 hour 200-day moving average, so it is pretty strong. In terms of a 4-hour chart, it also kind of has this nice little rounding bottom going on here. And with that said, you can try to take profit at 65. I think that at 65, we can maybe have it cup and handle and rip even higher and maybe turn into a super massive inverse head and shoulders and rip to maybe some all-time highs. That's just, speaking in terms of hypotheticals, but it's pretty cool. I like Snapchat. Next, we have JMIA. Right now, it is a classic cup and handle. I very much like the setup that it's got. It's got a very bullish RSI. I would wait for the crossover event here on the MACD2 lines, but until then, I am maybe going to sit on my hands. But notice right here, we have a reversal to the upside at 47.62. And I think from here, we can maybe push higher as long as we can get back above 49. So JMIA looks pretty fresh. I like it. What else do we have here? Twitter and Snap. Let me check out Twitter. So Twitter has a crossover to the upside, and it has a ping to the upside. I would wait for it to break above this 69 mark, just because that's been kind of a resistance spot for these past couple of days. Notice 1, 2, 3 tops. So if we can break above, we can see a retest of the 200-day moving average. But until then, I think I might be a little more patient on that. We have a crossover to the upside, and RSI is fairly bullish. Overall, I think that it is a pretty good pick. Next, we have, let's see, KTOS and AI. One thing, guys, in advance, I don't know if there's any in the chat currently, but there is, I personally don't do penny stocks. So just in advance, I'm not going to be doing penny stocks. If you request for one, I'm probably not going to really do much with it because I don't know how they act in comparison to normal common names. It's just a personal rule that I have with myself because I find that you get burned really quickly with penny stocks. So that in mind, that's just something to note. That said, this KTOS, Kratos, has an inverse head and shoulders forming right now. I would wait for it to test this 26 mark again because it looks like it's kind of starting to head down again. Because what I'm playing off of is this 4-hour 220-day moving average. If we can get this thing above 26 and holding it, you can maybe see this thing pop up to this 28 mark as a inverse head shoulders to the 200-day moving average. Overall, I think it's pretty strong and it looks pretty nice. It does have a reversal to the downside, so again, I would be patient and check out this 26 mark because if it does end up falling, this would just turn into an H pattern. What else do we have? We've got AI. AI looks a little too flat. Personally speaking, I don't think I would take a trade on AI, mainly because of how it's kind of looking here. It's just been super flat these past couple of days, or even, yeah, since the 3rd of March, it's been relatively flat. I wouldn't play something like this personally. I would just sit on my hands and wait. Maybe try to play a breakout to this 97 mark, but I don't like this one personally. I already did solo. Can I do DDD? You broke above 200-day moving average on this. This is pretty strong in terms of trend. We do have a really flat MACD, though. That is something that would be a little iffy for me. That said, though, we have a bullish RSI, and overall, it looks pretty strong. You're riding on top of all moving averages as of right now, and I think that you can maybe see this thing turn into a huge rounding bottom. I very much like the setup here for this DDD stock. Can you do Square in Baidu? I wonder if CJ's going to hop on. He doesn't return my text. Baidu. Speaking of Baidu, that's the stock he likes playing. Yeah, so next we have Square. Square is currently pushing above this 200-day moving average. This is on a 4-hour chart. Let me just pull up a hourly really quick. We have a cup and handle kind of forming here, and we have a potential reversal to the upside here. We have a crossover for MACD and a very bullish RSI. I think that if we can break back above this 244 mark, we can break the double top and head higher, and maybe continue this as a double or as a cup and handle and head up to maybe 253. Just something to keep in mind for that one. What else do we have here? AYX and NEO. AYX. Oh wait, did I even do? I didn't do Baidu. My bad. So Baidu has a reversal potentially to the upside here, and it has a crossover that might happen. We have a very neutral RSI. I think that if we can hold 50 SMA, we can maybe see this thing head back up to the 200-day moving average, and that would be a decent long up to there, and you would take that as your profit target. And if it were to break above, well, you keep riding it to higher highs. Next, I have AYX. I've never heard of this stock, but let's check it out. AYX is currently in the bearish portion of our RSI. It has an open MACD to the downside. It just pinged a reversal to the upside. I would wait on this one for a crossover. And then maybe above 87.5, I would consider taking it up to 90. But until then, I would wait on this one. Let's see. NEO, GME. Let's see. Wait, why didn't it type? What the heck? NEO and GME. So, we've got a... Where did my stream go? All right, there it is. Sorry, guys. So, for NEO, I mean, we finally broke above this 200-day moving average. That was definitely a hard resistance spot for a little while. When you look at it in terms of like a longer-term time frame. NEO has been under the 200-day moving average for a very long time. That said, though, notice this inverse head and shoulders that's kind of starting to form. I would call NEO very bullish as of right now, but that is, again, as of right now. We did break above the 200-day moving average, and we do have a crossover that can potentially happen. I would wait on that personally, but we do have a bullish RSI. I would personally just wait for this MACD to close up before I take anything. Otherwise, it's a hand sit for me. GameStop, I mean, I don't really trade stuff like GameStop, these kind of meme stocks. That said, though, it is holding 250 and 260 pretty well. It's been a little flat these past couple of days, but notice that we do have a MACD that's kind of starting to cross back to the upside, and we have a very neutral RSI. I think it's kind of fresh. I don't know. I'm not going to take it personally speaking, but it looks all right. Overall, I would be hesitant, but it's pretty nice. What do we got here? NVAX GEVO. NVAX GEVO. Let's see. Okay, NVAX and GEVO. So, I don't like this setup. I'm gonna be honest with y'all. We had this huge pump in after hours. I don't know if this was like a news event or something, but it's just not something that I'm a big fan of. I don't like these huge after hours pumps. And notice that it dumped right back downwards. So it's a little iffy. On top of that, you did kind of hold on to this 200-day moving average. That said, though, I've never traded this stock, and we do have a MACD that's open. As of right now, I wouldn't take it up to the upside. I would wait and see if it falls below 200 and take it back down to 190. Otherwise, I would just sit on my hands for this one. I don't know about this one. Next, we have GVO. This thing is pretty strong, pushing above 200-day moving average. You have all the RSI. You have all of the simple moving average lines following to the upside, and overall looks fairly strong. That said, though, you have a reversal to the downside at 10.9, and you have a MACD crossing to the downside. So I would be a little patient on this one, see if it holds onto this $10 mark. Otherwise, I would expect it to maybe fall back down to 9.5. What else we got? Have I charted Airbnb? I have not. Airbnb. I also saw AMD. I saw Disney. So Airbnb has a cup and handle kind of starting to form here. You do have a rounding bottom overall. I would wait and see if Airbnb kind of falls back down a little bit to retest either 200 or maybe like 202.5 to form a cup and handle and then head even higher. I played Airbnb on Friday and I made $2,000 on it. It was a fairly good trade. I think it pays pretty well for the contract price. Next, we have AMD. AMD is kind of just hanging out below this 200-day moving average. I think as soon as we can break above it with a crossover, it would be fairly bullish, and I would take it to the upside. Until then, I'm going to be patient on it personally because it is very beat up, and I don't know how much lower it can go. Next, we have Disney. Disney is just chilling, pretty flat. I would just avoid this one entirely. There's not much to do there. I already did JMIA. I already did Square. Let me check out Mara. I've done Disney. I did KTOS. I did AI. Veil. Here's Veil, and here is MT. Okay, cool. So, let's see. Mara. I have not played Mara in a very, very long time. I think that it is a strange play, mainly because of how the price action has been recently. That said, we do kind of have this little... I don't even know what to call this. We just have this kind of weird price action where we're kind of dancing around the 20 and the 50-day moving averages. We have a cross up potentially on the daily for a upside play. That said, we have a bullish RSI, and overall I think we can maybe head higher if we can hold on to this like 40 mark. As long as we hold that, I think we can maybe head a little higher. We also have Veil. Veil has a cup and handle as of right now. We bounced 200-day moving average. We posted a reversal at 17.5. I would say wait for the crossover event. You have a very neutral RSI. I think this has good upside. That is fairly nice. Next is MT. I do not know what that is either, but it is a little too flat for me in terms of MACD. I would wait for this to kind of separate a little bit. It is on the overbought side, so I would just be patient for that one personally. Next, we have DocuSign. We have TDoc and Visa. TDoc and Visa. Okay. So DocuSign. DocuSign is pretty beat up. It rejected the 200-day moving average. Overall, I mean, I would say it's trying to round out a bottom here at this 207, 210 mark. You have a crossover that might happen going into the future. It's very oversold and bearish in the RSI. I would wait for it to reclaim 212 and 215 before I take it to the upside. But from 215, I wouldn't mind taking it to 221 and then 225, 227 after. Next, we have TDoc. TDoc is slowly approaching this 200-day moving average. We do have a crossover to the upside right here and a pretty bullish RSI. Overall, I think it's pretty strong. We potentially reverse up here to the upside. I think that I would take profit at 206. At which time frame do you check MACD for confirmation? I use hourly and 4-hourly charts. I think those give you a very strong indicator of what can happen for the next maybe hour or so or 2 hours. And I use daily and 4-hour charts for like swing trades. Let's see, what else we got here? Visa. So Visa kind of falls in that same little kind of situation of a rounding bottom potentially. We do have a reversal to the upside off the 50-day moving average. We are slowly kind of curling the MACD to the upside, and we have a neutral RSI. Overall, I think that we can catch Visa, maybe say above 225, back up to 228 at an all-time high. Can I look at Netflix? Sure. Here's Netflix. Here is NVIDIA and DFN. I don't know what that is. So Netflix, I mean, it's kind of a weird play here. You're sitting between the 200 and the 50-day moving averages here. You have a crossover potentially happening, and you have a neutral RSI. With QQQ being up in after hours, I would assume that we would try to test the 200-day moving average pretty soon. That said, I'm going to be patient on this one because it's a little iffy. Notice how MACD is kind of trying to curl against itself. And if it does that, we're going to see this thing head lower, probably back down to the 50 SMA. Next, we have NVIDIA. It's an extremely similar setup to Netflix. We are sitting between 200 and 50-day moving average, although the MACD is still open. I would wait for this thing to close up before I take it to the upside because notice we have a reversal to the downside. And also we have a neutral RSI. So this is kind of a either way something can happen. Next is AAL. Oh, is that our last ticker? Dang, we ran through those. American Airlines. I mean, we've been riding 200-day moving average and 50 SMA this whole time, pretty much since February. So since then, we've been riding on top of the 200-day moving average and 50-day moving average. And I think it's pretty strong. It looks like a bull flag to me. I would wait for a break of 23.5 to head even higher. I like it overall. Tilray with some news coming out of the legalization in New York and New Jersey. I don't play weed stocks, but I'll chart this out for you. I mean, overall, you're kind of just riding on top of this this little trend line here. I guess it's not going to let me draw anything, but you're kind of riding on top of 50 SMA and 20 SMA. You have an open MACD to the downside. I would wait if you're taking this to the upside. You have a reversal pointing down, and your RSI starting to go back into neutral. Unless you're taking this thing as a short down to the 50 SMA, I would be patient with that one. Workhorse, GNOG, and Skills. So let's see. Skills is currently pushing 200-day moving average. I would wait for that break of 30 to take it higher up to maybe like 32, 34. This is pretty strong. You have an RSI that's bullish, and you have a crossover. I like this. Sorry for the noise. Next, you also have Workhorse. Workhorse is currently crossing to the downside. It's pinging a 3 and is RSI neutral. I would wait on this one. I don't know if I would take this in the first place. This just doesn't look too good. I'm not a fan of the setup here. Next is GNOG. GNOG did have a double top break, and that's why it's just continuing higher. I would just take that as a bullish continuation. We are about to have a crossover to the upside, and we have a pretty strong RSI. Overall, I mean, I would just keep taking this thing higher. It looks pretty okay. Zoom and Roku. Any other tickers that you're keeping an eye on that we haven't mentioned? I'm keeping an eye on Lemonade. I think Lemonade is strong. Here, I'll pull up Lemonade really quick. Okay, so Lemonade is kind of a weird play here because we pinged reversal to the downside, and yesterday we bounced 50 SMA and ripped upwards. I think we're going to touch this 200-day moving average going into Monday. That's why I'm personally swinging this as a position. But yeah, let me get back to these little plays here. So Roku is trying to cross to the upside. Notice it failed to cross, but it's still trying to keep that up. We are pinging a short on hourly, so I would be I'd be a little weary of that. On top of that, we have a reversal right here on after hours at 360 pretty much, and we're below every single SMA line, and we're bullish to bearish. I mean, not bullish, neutral to bearish on our RSI. I don't know if I would take this thing to the upside or to the downside. I would just be patient with Roku. Silver, Zuo. So let's see. Silver is breaking 200 SMA, so that's pretty strong. You have a crossover and a pretty bullish RSI. You have a reversal at 23.5. I think you can maybe see this thing retest like 20, 24 and a half, maybe 25, but it's still pretty oversold. And next we have ZUO. I don't know what this one is, but I'll check it out. Here is a crossover that's starting to try to happen. We did kind of bounce oversold here, and we are still bearish, but we're getting close to neutral for RSI. We pinged a reversal at 14.19. I think it's maybe a decent play to the upside. Maybe take profit at the 200-day moving average. I would be patient with that one. Next, we also have Regan. I don't know what that is. PayPal and DraftKings. Sure. So PayPal is currently trying to get above the 200-day moving average. Notice we have a possible reversal to the upside, and we have a MACD that's trying to cross to the upside. So with that said, I think I would be patient on the 200-day moving average break at what is this? At 252.5, and if that were to happen, I'll take it even higher. But until then, I would be patient. But I think it's pretty strong. Trying to hold on to these simple moving averages here. And by the way, everyone, I use the 9, 20, 50, and 200-day moving averages just as a little heads up for you guys. Next, we have DraftKings. DraftKings is showing as a cup and handle, I think. We have a reversal to the downside, so I'd be a little patient with that. And we have an open MACD to the downside. Notice we never crossed back to the upside, and that's why it's continuing to just be kind of flat. Strong RSI. I would wait for a break of maybe like this like 72, maybe 73 mark. But otherwise, I wouldn't play it. I already did SOS. Let's do what is this? Eyes. 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 You kind of have a bull flag here. That's really all I can say. You're pretty overbought in terms of RSI, so I'd be a little patient and wait for it to reset maybe a little bit. But you do have a bull flag, so I wouldn't be surprised if it headed higher. Space, I already did Space. I'm pretty bullish on it overall. Zoom, I believe I also did Zoom, but I'll check it out regardless. Zoom. Yeah, Zoom is kind of a weird play here because it's sitting on top of support at 50 SMA. We have a potential reversal, but we're seeing Zoom get phased out pretty quickly, so it's a little I don't know. I just wouldn't take Zoom. Maybe if it falls below 50-day moving average, you can try to take it as maybe a head and shoulders back down to like 325. What does CCI mean? This kind of compares your stock with other things in its sector. I don't really use it as much as I used to. I think RSI is a better tool than CCI. I just haven't removed it, to be honest. Letter X, sure. X. X. I believe this is U.S. Steel, right? This has a bull flag, and it is very overbought. However, if you have a bull flag, I think you might be able to head a little higher. That said, though, you have a MACD that's trying to cross to the downside. I would not take it right now, at least. Laser. Let's see. So laser is crossing to the upside, and overall it is pretty bullish. That said, though, you're trying to cross back down here. If it doesn't hold on to 9 SMA and maybe this 27 mark, I would probably take it short back down to 25.7, which is the 200-day moving average. Overall, it's an okay play. I wouldn't take it to the upside from here, though. It might be a bull flag. It doesn't really look like it, though. Can I do NEE? I don't even know what that is. And then Express. I already did Workhorse, so yeah. So Express is also one of those meme stocks. I'm not really playing it personally. I shop there sometimes, but I don't really buy stuff, or I don't really buy Express in terms of stock. It kind of looks like a head and shoulders, I'm gonna be honest. But if you can see the demand for everything kind of hold on, it would be okay. And then let's see, NEE is the Next era energy. So this thing is crossing back down and it's coming out of the overbought. I would be very patient if I were to take this thing to the upside. Notice that we do have a reversal to the downside, 75.7. I would maybe take profit at this 74.773 and then take profit again at 73.8. Otherwise, I just wouldn't take this in the first place. Can I check out SPY? I don't think I did SPY. I did ES, but I didn't do SPY. I'm closing off tickers, by the way, after this last message here. CPG is last. All right, so we got SPY. SPY has a crossover to the upside. It is very bullish on RSI, and overall, I think if we break this double top at 395 or 396, I think we can just continue to rip higher. I like SPY. I'm in QQQ long personally, so we'll see. BA, sure. And then TWLO. So BA has been absolutely ripping. It's massively overbought, and it's starting to cross to the downside. I would be patient on this one. If I'm not already in something, I wouldn't be playing it. I would maybe take it to retest the 260 mark because it has just been on a complete tear recently. I would just be patient overall, though. Then we have Twilio. It's currently sitting between 50 and 200 SMA. It is trying to cross to the upside. You have a neutral RSI. I think that if you can get this potential reversal to the upside to kind of come to fruition, we can take profit at 279. I would wait for the crossover to kind of close up and then take it to the upside. Crowd. So Workforce, right? Or is that CrowdStrike? That's CrowdStrike. Okay, so CrowdStrike also sitting between SMA lines. We're sitting on 9 and between 200. I would wait for the crossover. It's neutral on RSI. I would just be patient. This one doesn't really have a setup yet. You do have a reversal to the upside at 198, but I think until you can get back above 200, I wouldn't take it personally. We also have Overstock, and we have Shopify. So Overstock is currently above 200-day moving average. We pinged a potential reversal to the upside at about 79. You do have a MACD that's crossed downwards, but it's trying to close it up. And you have a pretty bullish RSI. I would wait for that, to be honest, to close up and then take it higher. So maybe above 72, I would take it up. Last, we got Shopify, and then we also have our last ticker of the night, CPG. And then I'll just open up like for questions, maybe for about 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and we'll call it a night. So we have CPG. I've never played this, never really heard of it. It's a little too neutral. RSI is bullish, but we have a MACD that needs to cross still. I would wait for this thing to break the double top at 4.7 before I even consider taking this thing long. Lastly is, oh, but that was it. Oh no, Shopify. Shopify is a little too flat. Notice how our MACD is kind of just hanging out. It's been a little too chill where it's currently at. I would wait for it to break this 1155 and cross over to the upside and then take it up to 1222 as a swing play. I think that I would just be patient for this one overall. I'm not sure about that. So yeah, that concludes the tickers that I'll be taking. If you guys have any sort of questions that you may have, or just general trading practice questions, feel free to ask. Otherwise, I think I will be calling it here. Overall, I appreciate you guys for hopping in here, and yeah. Do you do this as a full-time job? This is my only source of income as of right now. I plan on getting into real estate this year. I will be buying my first fourplex, ideally in the summertime. And yes, this is my full-time job. I do this for a living. Yep, no problem, Adrian. I appreciate you for tuning in. What percent of a stop loss do I take for a trade? I don't really do it in terms of percentage. I have a hard stop at 15%, but if a trade starts going against my favor, so say MACD crosses against me, I will not be taking a position I will not be holding my position if it starts going against me, because at that point I'm simply wrong, and I'm not going to be letting a trade bleed on me when I could easily just cut out and move into something else. So 15% is my hard stop loss. Otherwise, it could be 1%, but say a crossover goes against me, I would just be exiting in the first place. Any other questions, anyone? Alrighty, well, cool. I appreciate you guys for tuning in tonight for Sunday Stock Talk as of Pi Day. Oh, well, actually, I have a few more. What is the time frame you tend to use MACD on? 1 hour and 4 hour. Oh, are you going to share the last indicator? How often do I miss my predictions? I got no clue, bro. I'm going to keep it real. No idea. I would think I'm fairly accurate with the trades I take. I think last week I only took one wrong trade, or maybe two. And overall, I ended up fairly strong for the week. I ended up $52,000 on the week. But that's also because I knew when to cut my losses and everything. So, yeah. Are you going to share that last indicator? I'm going to explain it, but I'm going to be uploading a video on how to use it and everything, or how to like install that and everything. So that said, let's, I guess, just go through a quick little rundown of this thing. So that's this bottom golden line. This is a custom indicator that we use for swing trades. Notice at 0, this pings to the upside. So at 0, we took this thing long. And once it starts going towards 3, you would consider it to the downside. So say I pull up, let me just pull up SPY just for the sake of simplicity. I'll just pull up SPY, maximize my sell. So notice right here, we had a 0 pretty much this entire time over here. I'll even put a 4-hour chart just to make it even easier to look at. Okay, so notice we ping a 0, we have upside. We ping a 3, we go down. We ping 0, we go up. We ping 3, we go back down. 0 up, you know. Basically, I'm just playing on the swaps from 0 to 3. I don't really use CCI as much as I used to, but the golden line is pretty nice to just kind of give you an extra little bit of assurance when it comes to taking a swing trade. And then in terms of the little bubbles that show up saying reversal, this is a custom script that is currently in beta testing, so we're just going to have to keep that as a work in progress for now. I'll be making a video about this golden line, though, if you guys want to check it out, feel free. But that said, I will be calling tonight's stream here. I appreciate you guys all for tuning in, and I'll be live again later this week for another stock talk. And have your questions and tickers ready. I appreciate you guys all for tuning in, and I will see you later. Peace.